Hi there, Huseyin. Nice to see that you've sent us more essays. Let's take a look at what you wrote in this set. The first topic is online language translation apps. Let's see what you said. The importance and usage of language translation websites and applications has grown over the last few years. Okay, check it out. So you wrote here the importance and usage. So it's two separate things. So they have grown. This is something I see a lot in essays, not just from you, but from lots of students. You need to make sure that you have subject and verb agreement. So these are two separate things, the importance and usage. And so this needs to be a plural verb. So it needs to be have grown over the last few years. Although these services provide many conveniences to users, they have some negative effects which should not be disregarded. This essay will discuss both sides. Get rid of the by using examples from App Store and translation companies. Okay. There is ample evidence that most of the new language learners use web-based translation applications in their daily lives. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, electronic translators are useful means to overcome language barriers of foreigners. Secondly, they enable instant translation in many languages. For example, in the App Store, for instant translation, there can be found a variety of popular applications such as Google Translate, iTranslate, Translator, and Speak and Translate. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that these applications provide services on phones and on the internet to many people all over the world. Okay, here's the thing. Whenever you have a main idea, each main idea needs to have its own piece of support. So you had one reason, where was it? That they are useful means to overcome barriers. Okay, fine. And then here you said they enable instant translation in many languages. Now, look what your support did though. You see, there's the problem here is twofold. First of all, let's look at your piece of support here. Okay, this is it right here. You said that there are a lot of different translation apps. So, which main idea is this supporting? If you look at it a little closely, you can see that it's not supporting either of the main ideas you've expressed. Because look, you said that it's useful to overcome language barriers. So this doesn't support that. Just because there's a lot of them, it doesn't mean that they help foreigners. Okay, and then you say they translate in many languages. Again, just because there's a lot of them, it doesn't mean that they help with many languages. So the problem, as I said before, it's twofold. You've got this piece of support that doesn't support either one of your main ideas. So what you've really done here is you have two main ideas which are absolutely unsupported. You needed to show that these applications are useful to overcome language barriers. That's the main idea. So you need to show us how they do that, okay? You could even give us an example of, how many travelers going overseas utilize these applications. That would have been a nice piece of support. And here you could have, when you said they enable instant translation in many languages, you could have told us some examples that, applications like Google Translate, for example, does translation to over instant translation to over, 50 languages. Okay, so that's the kind of support. So each main idea needs its own support, but it has to be relevant. What you did here, unfortunately, is wrong. And so what's going to happen is that you're going to see this kind of paragraph is going to affect both your task achievement score, because you have ideas that are not supported, but it's also going to affect your coherence and cohesion score, because there's not a logical progression of your ideas. Okay? So you can see it's one problem that will also affect two different criteria. Let's move on, though. Although there is a case for learning a new language, or even more, the negative impacts of I don't understand this sentence at all. This doesn't make sense. I don't understand. Although there is a case for learning a new language, what does this mean? Or even more, that's completely unclear. You never talked about learning a new language. When you use this kind of construction, it's because you're basically saying that, yeah, I know what I said in the previous paragraph, but now I'm going to talk about the opposite side. So this is completely irrelevant. This is a sentence that you absolutely need to rewrite. So what you could have said instead is something like, although there is a case for the convenience of the translation apps, etc., etc., etc. Okay? And it should be dealt with. So that would have made sense. This is largely because they may substitute the professional translators and interpreters. For example, many translation companies nowadays use online language translation systems in their network to not, no, fasten is the wrong word. It's quicken. Fasten means something else. You fasten your seatbelt, you fasten the snaps of your jacket, something like that, but not fasten here. It's quicken. And reduce the cost of employment. Thus, it is possible to state beyond doubt that employment of many people who are earning their, not lives, their livelihoods, that's the word you want, from this sector. And this is the wrong word, inevitable. It's absolutely wrong. It does not fit here. From the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that the disadvantages of web-based language translation applications outweigh the negatives, okay? Outweigh the advantages. It is predicted that with the developing technology, these multilingual applications will offer more services and take the place of professional translators. Okay, so we talked about this paragraph considerably, okay? What I want to talk about now is a little bit this paragraph. Look at the essay again. The prompt asks you the benefits, disadvantages, which outweighs which. Plural, disadvantages, plural, benefits. What did you really talk about here in terms of the disadvantages? As far as I could see, you talk about one. You basically say that people will get out of work because people are using these online translation apps and they're not hiring translators anymore. So it's a paragraph that has just one disadvantage. Now, why is this a problem? It's a problem because the prompt asks you for disadvantages, plural. Okay, and then even more so, it's interesting, you say that the disadvantages outweigh the advantages, but you only gave me one disadvantage. You gave me a couple of advantages to these applications, even though they weren't supported. That's another story we already talked about. But you can see that there's some problems with this. If it asks you for disadvantages, plural, you need to give more than one, and you only gave one. And then it's strange because you said that they outweigh them. So you can see that there's some disconnect here in the logic, all right? So I want you to be careful with some of these things. So what we're dealing here really with, Huseyin, is that the task achievement has some issues, as does the coherence and cohesion. The rest of your essay was fine in terms of vocabulary and grammar. I think there was just one vocabulary word or two where I was like, no, not such a good idea. All right, so I want to look now at your task 1, which is right here. Great. Okay, it's the cover letter. Dear Sir, Madam, I'm writing in response to the advert for a senior proposal engineer on LinkedIn. There's no reason for a comma here. Get rid of it. I'm very interested in being a team, or how about this? I'm interested in becoming a team member of your well-established company. And then that's fine. As a civil engineer with experience, no, you don't say experience of 10 years and not an experience. I want you to learn the difference between an experience and just experience without the an. So let's try it again. As a civil engineer with 10 years experience in the sector, the international working environment has enabled me to develop a good sense of communication and interpersonal skills. Along with my abilities to, no, it sounds a little strange. Along with my abilities to use necessary software for scheduling and drawing, I believe my problem-solving skills, it's plural, it's never just one skill, makes me a here, suitable candidate for the position that you are seeking. No, you're not seeking for a position. You are seeking to fill a position. So that would have been better. Makes me a suitable candidate for the position you are seeking to fill. That would work. I don't like paragraphs that only have one sentence in them. Let's see what you wrote here. For the beginning of my career, I followed the projects that your company has been involved in, and now I'm very enthusiastic that I have the opportunity to apply for this position. Okay, I see what you're trying to do. Over the last 3 years, I have worked in the tender department of Bechtel Engineering and Construction in the same position. For your reference, please find the attached curriculum vitae, which shows my past experience. I would be grateful if you could evaluate my CV and give the opportunity of an interview. Yours faithfully. Okay. Fine. It's good. There were a lot of things that I liked about it. The tone was appropriate. It was sufficiently formal. You did a lot of things that I liked. It read pretty easily. There were just a couple of areas that I told you I thought were a little, like a couple word choice things really that I thought were a little strange, or some awkwardness in your expression. But other than that, it was okay. I like what you tried to do. So you had your introduction, you had your closing, and then each one of these paragraphs was each bullet, and that was a good thing to do. That was smart. That was a good way to organize this. So I was very pleased that you did it like that. If there was one little complaint that I had, it was this. I think you could have added maybe an extra sentence. So I think you did a good job of trying to cover this bullet, but I think you could have done a little bit more. Simply because look at what you wrote for the first bullet, look what you wrote for the third bullet, and then the second bullet has this, one sentence little paragraph here. So an examiner is going to look at that and say, well, didn't really fully cover the bullet. Okay, and so I want you to avoid that. I don't want that to happen to you. So let's correct these then, okay? And let's see another set of essays from you. We'll be waiting, the whole team here. So best of luck, and we'll be waiting for your essays. Good luck.